Greetings. Want to talk to you a little bit today about what's up in my job searching status on my instructional design journey. So over the last 60 days, I've applied for about 21 jobs, and I had 4 that reached out for interviews or skill testing. So that's about 20%. Now, I have to say, I've not applied for a lot of jobs. I've really focused on ones that sounded particularly interesting to me, that are either sent to me from Indeed or LinkedIn. Haven't had anything from ZipRecruiter, or that people refer to me. And my resume and portfolio are currently built off of my higher education teaching experience. And I also have background in freelance content creation, mainly writing and editing, as well as some corporate work as a paralegal and claims adjuster. So I'm continuing to upskill, but right now my information is focused on what I'd previously done. So the first job in question here was an educational content creator for a tech company. Now, they wanted some background in writing or marketing, preferred some experience with an LMS like Moodle, which I did have some experience with. And they really wanted somebody who could write and edit their content, also come up with, creative promotional material. So this really seemed to be kind of a hybrid position between maybe doing more marketing material, but then also helping to create material for their training platform. Now, the process for this one came down to recruiters in this case. So I was contacted via LinkedIn Messenger. I applied, and then 2 weeks later, I did a phone interview with the recruiter. They then sent me on to the company, who asked for a 20-minute interview with HR, which I did over Zoom. However, I discovered in the midst of the interview that they'd already filled the position. And what they were actually interviewing me for was a curriculum designer position. So I should have asked some more questions, but I was a little taken aback and did the best I could. I did hear within about 48 hours that I was not selected. From start to finish, this was about a 30-day cycle. In this case, I was able to look up who actually had the position. And this was someone who had been a teacher for 3 years and an editor for 2 years. I would say my experience is probably fairly similar to that. I may have taught for a bit longer in higher ed, and I've done more editing work, but I've done editing work as a freelancer and not for a company. And this individual had worked for a company. They also had a bachelor's in English, same as I do, and their master's is in secondary education, while mine is in writing. One thing I thought was funny to note about this was, I've noticed this with a few people when I found out if they got a position after I had applied, which you can't always figure out. But I noticed their LinkedIn changes. So it went from being very detailed and oriented towards specific job types to being more general. So I'm not sure why people choose to do that, but maybe they just like to streamline things. The second position was an instructional designer writer position at an e-learning company. They really focused in on wanting someone with a bachelor's and a pretty good amount of writing experience, as well as somebody who's good with, technology, collaboration, project management, good writing skills, preferably native English. And that's because this is a job that definitely seemed more of a writing job. It's because you would need to learn their house style and do the project management part of monitoring the deliverable through the process with the SME or client, make sure it was delivered on time and within budget. So this would have been part-time contract work, and really, again, focus more on writing and less so on going through the whole design process as far as making items yourself. So this was recommended to me on Indeed, and I decided to apply, even though the Glassdoor reviews were not awesome. But I thought it'd be a nice resume builder, and since it was part-time contract. I applied and did receive an email to complete a skills test about 10 days later. The skills test required me to edit 2 chunks of information to try and make it into educational content, and that took about 75 minutes. I heard within 48 hours that I was not selected, and about 3 weeks, actually I say that, I followed up with them. About 3 weeks for the application and interview process as a whole. I will say that after I went and looked up their Glassdoor again, and it's gotten worse, so I may have dodged a bullet. Now, this third position is an instructional design position within higher education. They're looking for, again, educational technology, excuse me, knowledge of an LMS, they prefer a master's in teaching experience, but at least a bachelor's and some relevant experience. You would collaborate with your SMEs and stakeholders in designing, developing the deliverables on time. They want you to have a good handle on assessments and a lot of project management opportunities as well. This is a full-time opportunity. Really seems to be data driven, and again, less focused on you designing a lot of the material yourself and doing more, it seems like, of analyzing, assessing, implementing, and then following up to make sure that the evaluation process has been good. Now, this was recommended to me on Indeed, but I did have a connection with the university as I had done some adjunct for them in the past, although that's another story, and it was a really long time ago. Even so, I did still qualify as a prior worker, so I received an email about 2 weeks after I applied to do a pre-screening video interview. I had done this for my adjunct work, but the questions were obviously different. So 4 questions, and you had 3 minutes to record yourself, but only 1 minute to prepare for the question, and you couldn't re-record. The approximate questions were, what would you bring to the position? What aspect of instructional design do you excel at the most? How are you with teamwork? And how would you handle a fast-paced work environment? And then there was actually a 5th question about pay. So I did the video about 3.5 weeks. After about 3.5 weeks, I did receive an email to do a 45-minute virtual meeting. This was about 2.5 weeks from the due date for the original video. And 24 hours before the virtual interview, I was given a scenario that I'll need to respond to. This interview, as I'm recording this, is tomorrow, which is why I wanted to finish up this video and get it uploaded. My prior hiring with them took about 3 weeks from video interview to then a phone interview, and then another month after that before the hiring manager finally started the onboarding process. So it was very involved, or very long, to actually getting onboarded. The last job is a content developer for a training company. So they had similar wants for their position as far as bachelor's, some academic work, knowledge of LMS, and they would prefer a master's in teaching experience. You would collaborate with your SMEs, and then also be able to do your own individual research as needed. Again, a lot of collaboration, also some editing content for errors, etc. And this was a part-time contract position. Again, one of those you think of as a good resume builder. And this was contacted by a recruiter via LinkedIn. And this was an internal recruiter, though, who worked for the company in question. That same day, they requested a writing sample, which I provided. And then about a week later, I was sent a small piece to edit. It was less than a page, and then a script to flesh out. So the script was basically 2 scenes and was the most involved portion of it. And you just had to kind of base it on what they already had and provide your own creative content. As of January 20th, or even today, January 24th, I still haven't had any additional content with them. So I don't know if that means they're taking a while to pick their part-time people, or if I'm kind of out of the process. I've debated following up, but that's always a good question too. How often do you follow up? When do you follow up? Maybe that's the next video. So with so many titles out there, it's hard to know what to pursue right now. So for me, I've been more focused on translating what I already know how to do into my resume, into my portfolio, and then learning the new skills that I think are more prevalent especially in the corporate environment. Higher ed, I have a little bit more background in what they use. Although, hey, Camtasia that I'm playing with now, I hadn't used as much. So next up could be the when. I'm not sure on the topic yet. So if anybody has any suggestions, I would love to hear them. I'm going to do at least a series of going through your typical who, what, when, where, why, and how as I come up with ideas and learn new skills. So I hope everybody else is doing well. Please let me know if you have other questions, and I look forward to creating some additional content. Thank you.